So throughout my time of playing the Call of Duty Vanguard beta, it's the 20th when the beta was supposed to end, but they extended it another 2 days. Now, today was my editing day, so I didn't actually get to play the game yet, and it's like 5 o'clock currently. So obviously, after all this editing's done, I'm gonna hop back on and grind the fuck out of the beta again. Now this video is specifically going to be the guns that I think need a nerf and a buff. Now what do I mean by that? Guns that are blatantly overpowered, like the STG and MP40, I think need to have their damage increased and their damage range reduced rather. Now guns like the M1 Grand or the Itra Burst, I think need a buff because they're just actually trash. So let's get into it. Firstly, we're going to start with the guns that need a nerf. Now, I just literally mentioned probably the only two that actually need a nerf, and that would be the STG. Now, the STG is the first assault rifle. It's also one of the first assault rifles that you can use as a default class before you even have unlocked create a class along with the MP40. Now, the STG, I believe, I haven't used it that much because I'm not the type of person to only use one gun in general. Like, I'm not just talking about the beta itself. But the STG is most of the time it's a 3-shot kill at any range. Maybe extreme ranges it gets up to the 4 or 5 shots. But realistically, like, if everyone is going to use one gun in the beta and that's literally all you see in the kill feed, there's a problem. The gun clearly is better than every gun in the game. So therefore, the STG I think needs a nerf. I would like to say I think it should be a 4 to 5 shot at any range, and then, you know, going past the medium range distance, then the damage should be negated even more. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be flaming me down in the comments for hearing me say this because it's their favorite gun, quote unquote, but really it's the only gun they've been using in the beta, and I doubt they've used any other gun than the STG or the MP40. I think that's all I gotta say. Basically, Sledgehammer, just nerf the STG. My example would either be, one, nerfing the damage overall. It should not be a 3 to sometimes a 4 shot. I think it should be a 4 shot to 5 shot at any range, and then when you get past that medium range, the damage should drop off even more. Though, I don't want it to be... The problem is when you want a gun nerfed, sometimes they over-nerf it and just make it trash. So, kind of just make it a 5-shot, honestly. Just out of the gate. It's still going to be good. It's still going to outgun everything. But at least in that close range, if you're using something other than an MP40 or an STG, you might still have a chance in a 1v1 gunfight. Let's move on to the MP40. Now, realistically, in the beta so far, the only guns that seem to be broken are the MP40, the STG, and sometimes the Thompson. I think the Thompson's a little bit broken. At sometimes, most of the time not, but I still do think the Thompson does need a little. It just needs a little touch, just a little touch for up close. There are times that I have sniped someone across the map with it, but then again, you can do that with the MP40 and STG anyways. So next up, we are moving to the MP40. I don't think I need to say much about the MP40. It's just quite broken. I'm just gonna say it. It's gonna trigger literally everyone in the COD community right now because that's all you see in the kill feed is the MP40 alongside the STG. But that's besides the point. So honestly, just increase the amount of bullets it takes to kill someone and decrease the damage range because it's actually ridiculous. The ADS time can be a little bit too snappy. It can be a little bit too fast. So Sledgehammer, really the only thing you can do to the MP40 is just not make it blatantly overpowered. I don't want to like talk shit, but I never understood, especially with Call of Duty devs, is when they're developing their games, they see 2 weapons and they're like, hey, you see these 2 weapons? We're going to make them blatantly overpowered, and every other gun, there's no reason in using any other gun because these 2 are just so good. So yeah, just my example for nerfing the MP40 would be decreasing the damage range and increasing the amount of bullets it takes to kill someone. There you go. And maybe increase ADS time just a little bit. Next up, like I said, we have the M1928, which I have my own gripes with that gun historical-wise and realistic-wise. But in terms of this game, sometimes the damage on the gun feels like it just melts people in like 3 bullets. And then other times it feels like it takes 6 bullets to kill people. Again, I don't know. So realistically, should the Thompson be nerfed? Not really, but at the same time, yes. I don't know. The Thompson's such a weird gun in the beta right now, to where, again, like I literally just said 2 seconds ago, is sometimes you can 2-shot someone or 3-shot someone, and then other times it takes like 6 bullets to kill someone. So the Thompson, if the base damage for the Thompson is like a 3 to 4 shot, then increase it to like a 4 to 5, obviously. Realistically, do I really think the Thompson needs a nerf? No, not really. Especially if they're not going to nerf the SCG or MP40. But if they do, then why the fuck not? And then we're on to the buffs. Now, the rest of the guns in the game aren't that good. There's only one assault rifle that does need buff, is the Itra Burst. Now, if you guys watched the Itra Burst video, I know it's like 18 minutes, but I wanted to get a lot of gameplay for that gun specifically because I did have a little bit trouble trying to use the gun. Now, in the video, I stated that the gun, either you 1-burst someone or you 2-burst someone, and then you could turn around and like use your entire mag to kill someone. And then just last night, I was trying to use it again because I basically have all the gameplay for all guns. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get every gun to max level. Now, unfortunately, and I don't know why Sledgehammer Games has this in the game, but currently in the beta, you can only max out your guns to level 30, but for some reason they show attachments all the way up to the max level. I don't know why Sledgehammer did that if we can't actually max out the gun. I think they just put that in there to go, hey, look how many attachments we have. But realistically, you probably shouldn't have showed us that if we couldn't get past level 30 with the said gun. Now, the Itra Burst, honestly, I do think it needs a buff. Like, what I'm going to say right now is probably going to, like, tilt a lot of people. And it may not be, like, correct choice for them to do. But I would like to think making the gun a 1-burst kill, like the FAMAS was in the early stages of Modern Warfare, or making it a 2-burst. Even a 2-burst is a little too much for a burst rifle. Now, I believe it shoots 4 bursts, like, it shoots 4 rounds per burst. So, even shooting 2 bursts at someone, even, like, on a 1v1 is a little iffy. So, maybe a 1 burst if you get 1 bullet to hit him in the head. But other than that, I don't know, because using it a little bit more last night, I could see how the gun was really bad. Like, it was just bad. 1v1 gunfights, I would have to put 3 bursts into someone to kill them, and that's just ridiculous at this point. Decreasing the amount of bullets it takes to kill someone. Maybe make it a 1 burst if 1 bullet hits them in the head. Maybe 2.5 bursts. I don't know. Just right now, it's not competitive with any of the other assault rifles. Next up in the buff list would be the Sten. Now, what doesn't make sense to me is the Sten and the MP40 are literally the same gun. Relax real quick. The reason why I say the Sten and the MP40 are the same gun is because, 1, they use the same caliber, and 2, back in World War II, Germans and British soldiers would actually use each other's magazines because they were interchangeable. You could put an MP40 magazine in a Sten, and you could put a Sten magazine in an MP40 because they use the same caliber, and and the magazines are basically the same thing. So, it's basically, the Sten is basically a British MP40. Now, since they use the same round and they basically have the same fire rate, the Sten might be a little bit higher in fire rate. Why does the Sten have more recoil? I don't know if you guys watched my Sten gameplay, and I might have some in the background. I'm not entirely sure. And I know I don't want to constantly like cut different guns in this video because it's just gonna be more annoying for me to edit this later. But the Sten, for some reason, has stupid-ass recoil. It'll either pull straight diagonally right, and it's just hard to pull down, or it just fucking flies all over the place. So Sledgehammer, give it a recoil reduction and give it a damage boost, a damage buff, because it's the same caliber as the MP40, but it doesn't perform like the MP40. It's actually the worst SMG probably in the game. It's actually really fucking bad. That's why I only recorded one game and uploaded it for the Sten, because I was getting frustrated with how bad it was. So increase the damage and maybe increase the damage range and give it a recoil reduction, because the Sten's actually fucking horrendous. It's actually bad. Next up are shotguns. Now, if you try to use a shotgun in the Vanguard beta, then you understand where I'm going with this. The shotguns need a buff. I'm just gonna say it. They need a damage buff and they need a damage range buff, and maybe a reload speed reduction, because it's fucking horrendous and how slow you reload that shit. My grandma could probably reload that shotgun faster than you do in game, and we're supposed to be really trained special forces soldiers. But yet we can't reload a shotgun faster than 2 seconds. Or actually, it takes, like, I think 10 seconds to do a full reload on a shotgun. Don't ask me. I don't know why. Also, if you barrel stuff someone, like point blank, and these are 12 gauges, by the way, it won't one-shot. You actually have to hit them twice. So Sledgehammer, buff the shotguns, please. Thank you very much. Now we're on to LMGs. Now, first up, we got the MG42. Now, if you guys watch my gunplay analysis video, you would know that the MG42, might have the correct fire rate. Thank you for changing that, Sledgehammer, from COD World War II. And by the way, the MG42 has an 1,800 round per minute rate of fire, by the way. It was called Hitler's Buzzsaw for a reason. But in this game, the MG42 is either good or it's actually bad. The reason why I say it's bad is because it actually takes 6 bullets to... I'm not even joking. 6 bullets to kill someone with the MG42. If you don't aim for head or lower or higher chest area. If you hit him in the lower chest gut area, you're going to have 6 bullets to kill him. At least that's what it feels like. On top of that, the MG42... So, again, that would mean giving it a damage buff. Make it like a 5-shot or a 4-shot. I don't even care. I really don't care. If the next LMG in our list can 3-shot, then I think the MG42, which is arguably better than the next LMG that we'll talk about here, it should be, the same. But on to that, the MG42 has a trigger delay. Now, I've talked about this in the gunplay analysis video. There'll be a link down in the description. You can definitely feel it in the controller. And what I mean by that is so right now, I have my controller in my hand. If I pull the trigger on my controller, you will feel a rumbling in the trigger, and then maybe 2.5 to 3.5 seconds, your gun will fire in-game. So that means if this isn't a bug, and this isn't the lag for the beta, because we're constantly experiencing lag, that means Sledgehammer put a trigger delay, which, mind you, the MG42 doesn't have a trigger delay. Though, I could be talking on my ass because I've never shot an MG42, but I have held one. I just wasn't allowed to pull the trigger because we're at an air show, and reenactors don't like it when people pick up their gun and then start fucking with it. So I didn't want to pull the trigger on this guy's original MG42, even though there wasn't bullets in it. But anyways, that's not the point. So... basically, they treat the MG42 like a minigun. Basically, when you pull the trigger, it's acting as a minigun to where the barrels are spooling up, and then 3.5 seconds later, your gun shoots in-game. And this isn't my controller. I know that for a fact, because it doesn't do that in any other game or on any other gun, except there are certain guns that do have trigger delays. I'm just going to end it there, because now we got to talk about the DP27. The DP27... pretty alright. Doesn't need a nerf. Doesn't need a buff. Now, next LMG, we got the Bren, a British LMG. Chambered in 303 British 303. I've shot British 303 and it doesn't kick that much. In this game, the Bren kicks like a fucking mule. Again, I understand it's an automatic, it's an LMG, but Jesus Christ, this thing kicks like a fucking mule. So, Sledgehammer, please give it a recoil deduction. Reduced, I don't know. That's all I gotta say. On to marksman rifles. Now, this is still in the buff category, and I'm talking about the M1 Grand. Now, some of you might be thinking, why does the M1 Grand need a buff when it's a 2-shot? This is why it needs a buff. Firstly, the M1 Grand has a ridiculous flinch. When you get shot in an engagement, your gun will fly in the fucking air. That needs to be reduced, please. Second of all, the M1 Grand has a trigger delay. It has like a half-second to 2-second trigger delay. I would like for that to just be completely taken out of the game because, again, the M1 Grand doesn't have a trigger delay. And again, I've talked about this in my analysis video. There's a link down in the description. It also has a horrible ADS time, which I think needs to be reduced. And it also has a horrible sprint-to-fire ADS speed, which I think should be reduced or removed. I'm just going to be honest. Again, you're still going to get destroyed no matter what. So even if you think me saying that they should remove the horrible ADS time, remove the horrible sprint-to-fire time, and remove the trigger delay, you're still going to get destroyed with automatic weapons when you're on a gunfight, unless you're actually better, which the M1 Grand does require skill to use because it's using that 30-06, kicks a lot, and, well, you got an automatic shooting at you, so good luck. So unless you land the first shot and they miss their first shot, you're going to win, but other than that, you won't. Me, personally, I am a huge advocate for snipers in Call of Duty. That's if you're actually running around and using what snipers are supposed to do in Call of Duty. Now, I know in real life, snipers don't go around quick-scoping. You can't do that unless you want to lose a fucking eye or break your shoulder, depending on what caliber you're using with your sniper. But in Call of Duty, generally, when you're using a sniper, you go around quick-scoping. That's skill. If you're sitting in the back of the map hard-scoping, generally that's labeled as not skill because you're not moving. I tend to agree with that. Now, some of my friends hate snipers because of the fact that they one-shot, and they hate it because it one-shots in general, and it one-shots to any body part. I disagree because snipers take skill to use. That's why I advocate for them to try and use a sniper. And if they can't hit anything, then they're not good with a sniper. Therefore, snipers require skill. And that goes for everyone. I'm not just talking shit about my friends. Calm down. It's not like they'll watch this anyways. But that's just my consensus in general. Snipers, I don't think they need a buff or a nerf. They could use their default ADS speed, could be speed up a little bit. But other than that, snipers are pretty good in the game currently. Except we got handguns. Really, I don't think any of the handguns need a buff. I think the 1911 needs a buff because the base trigger speed, the base rate of fire for it, it's incredibly slow. So good luck trying to kill anyone. So there's some feedback for you, Sledgehammer. The Rat, I haven't used it that much, but it seems to be okay. The machine pistol is probably the best one, hence is why I have a video up right now of me using the machine pistol only. There's also a bug with the machine pistol. If you pick the 8mm Kurtz round, the 9mm rounds using a stripper clip, it's bugged to where when you attach this to your gun, it puts it in your left hand, but then when you aim, it like glitches back to your correct hand, and then when you reload, vice versa. It's a little bugged. You can see it in the video. Okay, so now we're on to the last one because I haven't used a knife, and apparently the knife has a cooldown for knifing, which, if that's true, why is that a thing? Launchers. Launchers need an incredible buff. Now, I clipped it, but my Xbox actually didn't clip it correctly. So, the Red Star map, you know, the giant building with the giant hole, the, like, giant oval-shaped hole in the front of the building. I was sitting in there. Okay, I was camping with a launcher. Come on. You're not going to run around with a launcher and get kills. I mean, I was. You can see the videos. But there's a guy sitting in a corner underneath me. I jumped in the windowsill. I point-blanked him with the Panzerschreck. I got a hit marker. I was like, okay, that's dumb, but okay. And then I threw a demo charge at his feet. He didn't move this entire time, mind you. I detonated the demo charge at his foot, got another hit marker. I then proceeded to whip out my MG42, and I had to shoot him an additional 3 times to kill him. So Sledgehammer, okay. That's all I gotta say. The Panzerschreck, if you want to know, it's an 88 millimeter rocket. So, you know, if that hits near you or hits you directly, you should probably die. So, Panzerschreck needs a buff, and the M1 Bazooka needs a buff as well. The M1 Bazooka is actually worse than the Panzerschreck. Somehow. I don't know how that works. But yeah, the launchers just need a buff. Give them more damage. That's all you got to do. Also, maybe give them better rocket velocity as well, because trying to knock score streaks out of the air is literally impossible. I actually just yesterday forgot to clip it. Take my word for it. I shot a launcher in the air. I actually got the perfect guess on how far I had to aim ahead of the kill streak. It actually hit the kill streak and did 0 damage. And it was an enemy kill streak because I whipped out the MG42 before firing it, shot it, got hit markers, whipped out the Panzerschreck, fired it, watched my rocket slam into the kill streak, and it got 0 hit markers, 0 damage. So launchers need mega buff. Now that is all I have to say about buffing and nerfing the list of guns in the Call of Duty beta. Now this isn't the entire list of guns that we will experience when the game gets launched. Apparently we have 40 weapons at launch, and this isn't even a quarter. I don't even think this is a half or a quarter of the guns that we're going to see when the game is released in November 5th. So hopefully Sledgehammer Games takes all this feedback from not only me, but other content creators, other people who have played the beta, and put their feedback on Twitter. And yeah, that has been my buff list and nerf list for Call of Duty Vanguard beta. I was about to say the base game, but it's not out yet, clearly. And I hope to see the STG and the MP40 nerfed to oblivion. Just going to be honest, because if that's the only gun people are going to use in the beta and don't use out any other gun, then there's a reason why. Because it's broken. This has been Obsessed with Modern Warfare, and hope to see you guys in the next video.